welcome to video lesson number 1. So today we're going to look at your squat, okay? Now squatting, what does it work? It is basically whole body, depending on which technique we do. Generally we look at it as a lower body movement, but what we call it is a hip dominant movement, okay? Which means mostly it's going to be working the butt and the thighs here, okay? If we get it right, it will work the hamstrings a little bit as well, okay? And this is why you're going to go through this video today, okay? Because most people squat just slightly off, okay? Obviously we do need to make it safe. When we are holding weights in the sessions as well, obviously we have to be extra safe with that. So, a few pointers when we come into the squat. So, you're going to have your feet just outside of your shoulders, okay? And we're going to point our toes forward. Now, the general technique on your squat, getting down, is getting a good bend in the hips and a good bend in the knees, okay? So what we're looking to do is push our hips backwards, and as the hips go further back, you bend your knees, raise the arms, lean forward to stop yourself falling over. And what we want, if you notice, the crease in my hip here lands just below the knee, okay? Now this might not happen straight away, it might be something you need to work on, but that's going to be your eventual target, okay? Now some people on this work on taking their feet wider to be able to get that depth. The only problem with that is we start to work different areas, and it becomes what we call a sumo squat, okay? So it's a different technique. So we want to keep those feet just outside the shoulders for now, as a maximum. The optimum is actually a little bit closer than that, but we'll work on that at a later date. Now a few pointers on this technique as well, so I'll show you from the side again. So what you have to imagine, there is a chair behind me, I'm going to show you how to do that in a second, but you have to imagine you are sitting on a chair behind you, okay? And you're literally leaning forward to stop yourself falling over, okay? So with that technique, you're going to push that bum right back, lean forward to stop yourself falling over, back up to the top. Okay? Now if you can't get that, okay, a common fault on this is people's knees drift forward first, okay? So lots of people do this, and then they go into the squat, and what they find is they're stuck, okay? And that's because the ankle will not allow you to get any more movement, okay? And that's why we have to keep the knees just behind the toes, okay? And that's why the first part of the movement is where we push the hips back first, okay? So if you find you're doing this, what you need to work on is this first. Okay? Now, another way we can practice your squat is with a chair. And the reason we do that is your squatting is basically sitting down and standing up, okay? But what we're obviously not doing is relaxing in between, if we can help it. So we can use the chair just to train the technique a little bit, yeah? So what we do, you have your feet the width of the chair, which generally puts them just outside the shoulders. And then here, you do actually touch the chair, so you aim as far back on the chair as you can. Touch, and then back up. Okay, so back down, and back up. Okay, so what it also does as well, it gives you a little bit of a safety net, so lots of people are quite scared in the squat. They're scared of falling over, etc. So it just gives you a bit of a safety net, but we do need to move you off that as quickly as possible. Okay, obviously in the sessions we don't use the chairs, but if you do really, really need it, I'll obviously get it out for you, we'll just have it behind you if you need it. Okay, so very, very simple. Now, if you want to turn this into a super squat, there are a couple of things that we can do. Okay, now what makes it a super squat is, if we start to initiate some different muscle groups, get them switched on, you'll obviously get a lot more out of it still, okay? So, just before I show you that, remember when you're squatting, you should feel it in the top of the thighs, in your bum, and sometimes if it's getting right, in the back of the legs as well, okay? Now what we're going to do with this technique is we're going to just hone it in a little bit, so practice that if you can't do it, then come back to this part. If you're one of those that can squat anyway, this is how we're going to progress you. So, your feet just come a little bit closer, so they're under your hips. Your toes are pointing straight forward on this, okay? And what we're going to do, we're going to go into your squat, as you normally would, but on the way up, we're going to practice pushing our knees out, and with your feet, they don't move, but you're going to imagine you're pushing them into the floor really hard, okay, and you're doing this, okay? So your toes are going out, nothing moves, so you're pushing into the floor, so you're imagining you're getting this corkscrew effect, that all your knees, your hips are turning out as you come up, okay? So if I just show you, so you should see my knees start to turn out up to the top. Okay, and what it does, it creates lots of tension through the hips, your glutes, your bum, your glute muscles start to switch on a lot more, so you get a lot more work. Okay, now initially you will get tired quicker, okay, because you're activating more muscle groups, but eventually it will just push you to the next level on this actual movement. Okay, so very simply again, I'll show you from the side. Remember, sitting back, push the knees out. Imagine that corkscrew effect, so your feet are staying still, but they're doing this, as you're coming up, okay? And that's going to activate a lot more muscle groups, and that's how you progress, first of all, your squat. So practice that. Any issue with it, just come back to me. Obviously, rewatch the video as many times as you want. Let me know what you think as well, okay? And if you need any more suggestions, just email me, let me know in the sessions, and I will do videos for anything you want to do. I've obviously got a line up of what I want to take you through, but any extras, just let me know, okay? Enjoy. Bye-bye.